less of that silly thing. It's a bit of a bet between me and Dan. I had to do it, and I gave him the 30 seconds, and it was a little bit painful, but does not matter. Beers are out. West Ham, well played, just like West Ham, are in the Europa League. 6th place in the Premier League, a record Premier League points total for West Ham since its inception. Dan, get that passport out, son, because you know where we're going. Group stages of the Europa League.
It's happened, mate, to be honest. I need to get my vaccination sorted.
Yeah, they won't let you in otherwise.
Yeah.
You're screwed, man.
No, but for real, like with David Moyes coming back, obviously Europe wasn't really on the agenda, was it? It was more about staying up, stabilising, that kind of thing. But the job him, the staff and the players have done, mate, is sensational. Manager of the season, surely he's got to be it. You know,
I agree. I know they're putting pictures of Guardiola and winning the title, and I do understand that. But
win the title with Man City, though. Do you know what I mean?
Easy. Do you know what though? I think there has to be a level of context applied to it. You know, me and you have known each other now for over a year, and we started the channel really when we'd sold Grady D and Garner, and there was a lot of issues, and we watched the Newcastle game, and it never looked in a billion years that West Ham could get European football, and the turnaround that. The improvements throughout the season, some of the players as well. Pablo Fornals, who was a bit of a touch and go as to whether he would make it at West Ham, getting 2 goals today. You know, these players and David Moyes deserve everything. They're incredible and best team, you know, on record now that I've seen in my lifetime. And back him, mate, in the summer. Give Moyes what he wants because the job he's done is absolutely tremendous.
You got to back him, haven't you? Yeah, for best season for 20 years or something since Redknapp in '99. So. You've got to back him and what he's done, and as well give him a new contract before anything else. Tie him down, don't let him go. No waffle about these new managers and bigger pedigrees. None of that. Get him sorted, and then give him the funds to get the players he wants.
I agree. I completely agree, and I think people will look at if you're looking at it really negatively. 2 points off Champions League is still an incredible achievement, and. If we'd possibly had a bit more backing, if Declan hadn't got injured, maybe we could have got over the line. But nonetheless, I think what we've seen this season is David Moyes eke the most out of this squad. This squad by no means is not perfect, but he's got the best out of each individual player, and they have turned up. And today, for me, was an exercise in mentality. You know, Southampton had a lot of the ball first 20. They were threatening, and it could have gone the wrong way, but Pablo Fornals, a guy that does turn up for the occasion, did get the 2 goals and it settled nerves down.
Yeah, massively. You know, the first 20 minutes they were a better team, weren't they? Minamino came close, should have scored. I think he was quite good. I think he was a bit of a live wire today. He caused a few issues. Because when I've seen him, I've not been that impressed. But he was decent today. And then, after that, obviously Walker Peters as well came close, but that just completely settled us down, got us in the rhythm. Obviously, 2 goals in 2 minutes. Killed the game completely. They didn't know how to react. And 2 as well for Pablo Fornals. I don't say this often, it's a rarity, but 2 very well taken goals.
Yeah.
Taken goals.
Do you know what I liked about them as well was you can criticise his finishing and quite rightly so in a number of occasions, but he follows his run in, he makes the risk, he takes it, he's in the right place at the right time. And for me, that's what you really need. And listen, he's got a pedigree of scoring decent goals. You've seen it for the under-23s in Spain, less so for West Ham since he's been in. But you are right. The minute there was a period of time where we were under the cosh from Southampton and they were playing through us and there was a lot of issues there. And listen, they knew the impetus was on us to go and get a result today and that played into their hands. But there was just this period of time where West Ham switched on, the passing was better, it was much more crisper. And you knew that once we got that goal, Southampton couldn't cope with it and it just settled our boys down a bit. And from then on, it just felt like we are going to see this game out. We're too good to throw away a 2-goal lead.
Yeah, that's it. They got second worst record in the shipping goals in the league, so there's alarm bells from that point of view. And the first goal was good. It's poor defensively from them, really poor, but Pablo's reaction was good. Good finish as well, quite a tight angle. And then the second one, like you said, quite a weird finish, but they all can't, don't they? It was the right place, right time, but it was poor defensively again from them, but we'll take it. And then after that, second half was a non-event really. Nothing really happened apart from the goal. So I thought they were lively first 20 minutes, and they've clearly got good players in that team. But it's just what we've done this season. We've not been the best sometimes. Last few weeks, I don't think we have been our best, but we've still, beaten these teams by being clinical. And we've done it again today.
I agree. I think when I saw their lineup, By no means did I think it was going to be a walkover. Minamino, like you touched on, was finding those pockets of space. And even in the second half, I think he nearly got in on goal. And it was only because Creswell, managed to sort of push him away from Fabianski, who came rushing out, that we got away with one. Fabi pulled off a fantastic save in those first 20, 25 minutes. Yeah. And that, I think, typifies West Ham season. Certain players turning up in certain times, and particularly defensively. I thought our fullbacks at times were put under significant pressure. But, I mean, Craig Dawson, reading the situation so well, the experience that you need. Him and Angelo today. Angelo in particular, and keeping Danny Ings very quiet. Yeah. It just got us over the line, Dan.
He gets better with age, doesn't he, Bonner? Much better with age.
Fine wine. Fine Italian wine.
Because Ings' movement, he's like a fine wine, isn't he? But Ings' movement is obviously up there with one of the best in the league for strikers. So, the pair of them had a task on their hands today. But Ings didn't really get a sniff, mate, today, to be honest. He was never really involved. Minamino was running in and around him. That caused a few problems. But, regarding Ings, I didn't really think he had anything to do. He didn't have a shot, I don't think. So keeping him quiet and keeping him nullified was where we're going to get our joy today. And yeah, I thought Kyle Walker-Peters, though, was quite good. Coming inside, obviously we didn't really press Diallo that much, so he could play them balls over the top. But no, yeah, Bonner was terrific. Dawson was good. The only criticism of Dawson I have was when, I think it was the first couple of minutes, Minamino wasted such a good chance for them. I think he had loads of time. It was like a 4-on-2 and Dawson was running back, and it reminded me of Roger Johnson. But apart from that, both of them this season have been faultless. Such a solid pairing as well. And long may it continue.
Yeah, no, it's a relatively fair criticism. I sort of looked at it as, listen, there's times where Craig Dawson has launched into a tackle. Newcastle is the clear example of that. And I was happy to see him kind of keep his space a little bit. And he knew the magnitude of the game. I actually think that once West Ham got that goal, our pressing in our midfield and squeezing Southampton was a lot better. Like, there was quite a substantial period of time where we were trying to get on the ball, push Creswell, Soufal far forward, and then they would just play through us, and we were way too open. And I think that has been a characteristic of the past couple of games. We've needed a goal, we've needed the win, and we have kind of conceded that a little bit going forward. But the minute we got that goal, we just switched and we just went up a gear. And I think that's the thing today. Like, it wasn't necessarily, we didn't do a job on Southampton, but the quality at times showed. And in particular, Jarrod Bowen, who I didn't really think should have started against Southampton. I could see the rationale behind it, but I would have given Benrahma a chance. And proved me wrong, mate. Honestly, really, some of the movement that he had and his link up with Mikel Antonio and his crossing ability was top draw.
Superb. Yeah, no, he was good today. Really good. He caused a lot of problems for Salisu because he's not a natural left back, is he? So it was a weird formation they had. We'll get into it later, but it was bizarre at times, like a 3-2-5 in possession. I've never seen anything like it. But Bowen, fair play. Big impact on that first goal as well. Poor defensively again from them because he shouldn't have got past them players. But
no,
he played a key role in that. Looked lively, mate. His explosive runs, just getting involved. He never really hides, Bowen, which is my criticism of Benrahma. Sometimes he can go missing. But yeah, to be honest, I thought Benrahma was our best attacker against West Brom. So him not starting today was a bit unfair, I thought. But that competition between them two is healthy because I don't think David Moyes really knows who's that natural right winger. I don't think he knows who his right winger is at the moment. So that competition obviously breeds good performances, and we've seen it today from Bowen.
It's tough, isn't it? I think, Bowen for me can play in the wide areas, but I actually think it's more effective when he starts to come into those central pockets at times. And there were opportunities for him in the game, particularly when he went to centre forward when Mickey went off, that you think that he could get onto the end of things. And I think that's his natural position. Completely agree. Benrahma isn't really a natural right winger. It suits him in terms of decision making, but less so in terms of his style of play. And Fornals, who's not really a winger either. So I think it's kind of sort of flitting between the two. And I've got to talk about Benrahma. I didn't think he was great when he came on. I don't think it matters. I really don't care.
Not in the grand scheme of things, no.
No, it isn't. But I was happy to see Jarrod Bowen show his quality. And I've got to give Jarrod Bowen a fair bit of praise. I'm not sure what the stats are. You know more than me in terms of goals and assists this season. But the return for a player that's just come up from the Championship. He's had 6 months in the Premier League when we were struggling. I know we can criticise him for not being as decisive, but he's got a really good platform here to go and kick on next season. And I think this is the case for a lot of our attacking midfielders. Fornals, Bowen, Benrahma, I think will all go up another gear next year.
Yeah, they're all young as well, aren't they? That competition that they've got will really help to get the best out of them individually. And like you touched on with Bowen, mate, I almost think he's too raw technically to be a winger. I don't think he's good enough to be a winger technically. He's better with his explosiveness, his pace, and his ability in forward areas, like you said, in central areas. So it'll be interesting next season to see if we bring in a right winger, what Moyes does with Ben Rama, obviously, elephant in the room. But no, yeah, that competition, obviously, Fornals this season has been my most improved player. I put it on a poll on Twitter because with the ball, mate, he barely gives it away anymore. I know last season, self-frustrating on the ball. He either took too long, took too many touches, or was a bit sloppy, gave it away. But now he constantly knows what to do. I think that's down to Moyes, obviously, getting the best out of these players because they're not world-class players. They're not the players that Man City, Man United have got. But he's making them better players, and that's a sign of a good coach. You know what I mean?
I think you're spot on, mate. I definitely. He won't be in the conversation for Hammer of the Year because of the outliers in Soucek and Soufal. But, that West Brom game today as well, his overall game's improved. And even I said, it was only 3 weeks ago that I said probably drop him, not great in transition. But now I look at him and I think he barely gives the ball away. His passing's very good. His long passing, his short passing, and the movement that he's making for those type of goals that he scored. People will underplay it and say, well, he just turned up at the right place at the right time. Not true. He's had to make that run. He's had to read the situation. He is a bit of decent finishing away from being undroppable, clearly. And I think actually there's an argument that defensively that you can't drop him either.
Yeah. No, he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet because when Moyes came in, I was crying out for Pablo to start. I've known I didn't know he'd be this good. I know he had ability though, but he's just made that spot his own. He's one of the first names on the team sheet now, bar Rice and Fabianski and Ogbonna and all of them and Cresswell. So for him to do that, massive credit. And like you said, if he just polishes his finishing up, I reckon he'll get double figures for goals next season. I genuinely think he will because the amount of positions he gets into, his XG must be through the roof because he misses all these sitters. But on the other hand, fair play that he's in the right place at the right time. You've got to be there to miss them sitters. And he's missed about 7-8 sitters this season that should have easily been goals in other weeks. But if he does that, if he polishes up, takes his time, not too erratic in front of goal, you've got a really, really good player on your hands.
Yeah, and I think this season and David Moyes has been a real case in point for being patient with players. And the core of some of these players that we spoke about, Benny, Bowen, Benny less so, but certainly Fornals is the key example of players that improve. And also what I like about David Moyes this season is, listen, there are some shortfalls in this squad. There's no doubt in it. Cresswell at times can be found out defensively, but getting the most out of him, I think he finishes the season as the defender with the most assists, is absolutely blinding, and the contribution that he has going forward. And for me, David Moyes has got that balance of the squad in terms of attributes. And that's why even when a player has an off day, the overall squad is still going and churning out results. And that's why we've been able to win games, not necessarily do a job on teams, but scrape them a 1-0 or a 2-1, like Aston Villa earlier in the season. And then you have to give credit to David Moyes. This squad, I've seen a genuine improvement. I actually think there's another level that this West Ham team can go. I think we can be better with the ball. I think we'll get a better balance in terms of when we're becoming a little bit too expansive. But get a couple of decent personnel in and around there. Get those players understanding that system a bit more. West Ham have got another gear to go. And you've got to give David Moyes the credit. You've also got to go and give him the resources.
Well, like Charles alluded to on the live watch-along then, the fact that David Moyes has done this with a paper-thin squad. No second striker, no senior second striker. Yarmolenko's still there. It's there's 2 goalkeepers on the bench most week. And for him to do this with, like Charles said, a paper-thin squad just shows how well he's done with these group of players. The togetherness, the spirit as well in the dressing room. I think that's a massive factor. Bringing in personnel like Jesse Lingard, who will slot in immediately with the players and the way that Moyes wants to play. The proof's in the pudding. Koufal, Soucek, Bowen, all, I think, his signings, he all had a massive say in them. He definitely gave them the go-ahead. Definitely. They wouldn't have done it without him. So the fact that he's had a massive say in these signings, they've all been successful, just shows that you need to back him. You need to spend... I've heard about 50 million, but you need to spend more for me because Tammy Abraham's about 40. So you need to spend a lot. You just need to back him in general, mate. If we want to progress now and make this season a foundation to go even further and maybe aim for, who knows, maybe past the group stages in Europe, take it
Yeah.
really seriously, then you need to back the bloke, otherwise it's not going to happen. So,
yeah, I agree. I think I've always said to you behind the scenes, I think 70 to 80 million would be ideal in terms of the quality of players. And I think you can do it on a budget, don't get me wrong, but I just feel that he has full scope to go and sign who he wants to. And I think that's what he's been able to galvanise with the fans, and I hope with the board as well, that trust in terms of the money that he's spending. And for me, you know, Craig Dawson is a perfect example of that. I know he's got his faults. I know he can be beaten. I get it. But he's had more good games than bad games. So, and his experience and his leadership, and him and Angelo Ogbonna at the back are absolutely top drawer. And he's got to take a lot of credit for bringing, because when, to be honest, not Craig Dawson necessarily, but Jesse Lingard, when he came into the club, me and you were a bit on the fence of it. I thought, well, he's not played for 18 months. How's he going to perform? And he completely shocked me. So it shows you that, and I think this is just part of Moyes' experience. 1,000 Premier League games. I'm not saying he can get everything right, and he hasn't done for West Ham. But 9 times out of 10, he's making the right judgment call. And I think with the right back in this summer, it's not saying that West Ham are going to compete for 6th every single year, but top half, trying to compete in competitions like trophies as well. FA Cup is massive for this club, and it's where we should be.
I think that's what he'll prioritise next season. FA Cup, especially for me, is a big one in terms of see how far you can go. You know, Leicester won it this season. Obviously, that sets a ground rule for how well you can do. And Europe as well, because I don't want a repeat of when we were under Bilic getting knocked out by Astra Gugu, whatever the name is. We've avoided them because they lost the cup final. So I'm happy about that. But take these competitions seriously. I'd much rather next season have a go at these competitions, sacrifice the Premier League a bit more, finish about If we gave
half would be good.
Crap, finish 10th. That's fine with me. But if we don't give these competitions a go and I'm sure we will take them seriously. But I'd love for us to go on a run and really, make ourselves known in Europe and give it a crack and come toe to toe with these big teams in Europe. And because it's there to be seen. Man United this season in the final, Villarreal as well. Villarreal a good team, but they're not that good. He's there to go really far in this competition and make the most of it. Because it's not coming around much as a West Ham fan. So
I agree. I think this is a platform that we can really build, and said to the boys on the stream in terms of consolidating this. That game reminded me of the last game at the Bowling in terms of the magnitude and what it could lead to. And having a 6th place finish is something you have to take advantage of. And we, the board, mucked up that situation in terms of that transfer window and who we brought in. Yeah. This is a brilliant opportunity to get it right. It really is. And you get it right. Listen, I think you've got to have luck along the way in these type of seasons. We were unlucky in the end with the Declan Rice injury. We could have got away with one. But at the end of the day, we've had some results we shouldn't have got. We did get, and fantastic, and that's why we finished where we finished. But you feel that next season, if you can build on that and you can build a real decent squad going forward, that it will even out, but you'll be competitive. And we've been way too long competing at the bottom end of the table. When you've seen this season, this squad, when you get that first team out, is pretty decent. Just add in the right quality behind the scenes, the right characters. And I think that's something to say here. The type of characters that we've brought into this club in the summer and January were the right type, not the wrong type. And that's where we've changed. Allers and your Andersons, we've moved on from them. We've gone for either experienced heads that have been there and seen it, or younger heads that are hungry and willing to prove themselves and have got potential. And that, for me, is where West Ham need to go in this transfer market.
Yeah, that's what we need to continue to do. We built that platform, but we can't exactly. That's why I don't agree with all this Anderson speculation that he should come back and fight for his place because he'd be better under Moyes. Or, I'm happy with Lanzini staying. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
He's still a good player. But in terms of the Andersons, Yarmolenkos, you move them on because, like you said, we've moved on from them now. They've done it, been tried and tested, and they've not been good enough. Yarmolenko's been a good player for us at times, but
has he? No, I'm kidding. No, he scored his goals.
First couple of seasons, he's a good player.
Chelsea was a massive result, and when we won that game, that arguably kept us in the league. We got that momentum from it, so he has proved himself.
That's it. We don't, as we proved when we did Souček and Kufal, you don't need to spend huge amounts to get a good player. Because there's gems all across Europe. I know we might favour Premier League experience or might not go for these South American risks that Sullivan loves. But there are some good players that with the right mentality and with the right coaching instilled in them, which is what we have now, that you can make these players, very good in the Premier League. Because who's heard of Pablo Fornals before he came here? I knew him, but I didn't really watch him play. Same with Soucek, Kufal, obviously Bone was well known. But these players, have come in, are hungry, have a point to prove, like Tammy Abraham as well.
I was about to say about Tammy.
Tammy and some Championship players we could look at, especially if Brentford don't go up. So there's a lot of targets that Moyes will want to have in mind for the summer, I'm sure.
I think Tammy's the interesting case in point, isn't he? Because, listen, I think I've argued about the playing style and it might take time for him to adjust. But when you just look at the profile of the player, score goals in the Premier League, English, young, got potential, the right attitude, gets on with Declan Rice, obviously was at the academy with him at Chelsea. That's the type of player, as much as I might be a little bit hesitant in saying he's the perfect player to bring in, that you'd feel that with David Moyes and the way that this squad are moving, that would be the right choice for the right money. And listen, I hope the business that we do in this window is decisive. I hope it's quick. We go out, we do it early doors. I think Moyes has come out and said, I want to do it before the pre-season, because now, listen, as much as it feels like a little bit of an anomaly, West Ham can go to some of these players and say, we've got Europa League football. We can command European football for you. Come to our club. We're building something. And listen, it's David Moyes, isn't it? Like, let's be honest. It's not the board. It's no one. It's David Moyes has built this team and deserves all the credit in the world.
Well, that's it. A competition like Europe's a massive pulling factor for a player that wants to move on and find a new club. Huge compared to just having mid-table mediocrity. Getting in a competition like this. Obviously, London as well, playing under David Moyes. The players we've got, Declan Rice, Lingard if he stays and comes back. There's a lot of players there that can make this team even better. And for next season, if we do that, mate, and get these players in and get, Tammy Abraham, a few others, then the sky's the limit for this club, I think, especially under David Moyes. But the first thing we need to do is get his contract sorted. Not mess about with that.
We need an itinerary, don't we, of the things that West Ham need to do before we get into next season? Because I don't know about you, Dan, but for me, it feels like, I'm not saying it's a rebuild job, but there is a job to be done in this window, and it's about getting it absolutely bang on. Now, David Moyes will be the first step. The second step is arguably Jesse Lingard. Lingard's dipped in form, and I have to admit, I think that's because of fatigue. He's played so many games for West Ham, really and truthfully, and I don't think we'd be in the position that we're in without him. So I don't think he can really, at times, really come under the criticism that he does for dipping in form. Do you think we can get him at West Ham? Because there is a concern that Man United will use him as a make-weight for that Harry Kane deal. But for me, I just feel like he's found his home at West Ham. He gets on with the players. He gets the club. His relationship with Mark Noble's massive. And if Man United wanted 25 million for him, I think it would be a good deal. I think you can get 3-4 years out of Jesse Lingard.
I hope he comes back. I don't think it'll be easy to get him back at all. I think Moyes will want to sort it out early doors, but I think it will drag on for a long time because, like you said, Corey, United will use him as bait. For any targets they have, like Paul Torres or something, they'll use Jesse as bait in every deal they get, I imagine, because his transfer market value after 14 goal contributions in 16 games shows that he's still got a lot of quality and he's not finished like some people perceived earlier. So, that'll attract a lot of clubs. Me partially included in that as well. I knew he still had ability, but I didn't think he'd do this well. And obviously, he's familiar with West Ham now. So I think we will be favourites for him, but I think there'll be competition naturally. But it's just United for me. It's just how much they want for him, which will be an issue. I imagine probably 25 to 30 now, and before that, you probably would have been looking at around 15 without his goal contributions, because I know we tried to insert a clause in there to sign him afterwards. So and they were being stingy about that, weren't they? But no, I hope we can get it done. That'd be one of my first deals to do. I know Kevin was saying, would you take Mitrovic? Absolutely not. But
I was going to leave that to you because I knew you'd pipe up about it. I'm not as sort of negative towards the Mitrovic deal, but I said to you, you'd have to show me a Tammy Abraham and Ivan Toney alongside that if you wanted to add a third, fourth choice. Yeah. But definitely, if we sit here at the end of the window and we've got Mikel Antonio and Mitrovic, it's not a good window. So.
And Mitrovic is a decent player. I don't know if he's Premier League level. Obviously, he was establishing himself well at Newcastle with Perez, wasn't he? They two were a bit of a problem there. But
he gets goals, but the only worry is for me, look at some of the game
for us.
You know what the problem is though as well is some of the games that we might need him in. His discipline record isn't the best, and he does have that temperament that he does. Arnie had that temperament, but not to the degree where he's getting sent off in really crucial games, and Mitro does. And I think there are elements to him that could be a decent deal, but he's not on my priority list. There's so many levels and so many players that I think West Ham need to go for before Mitrovic.
Has he got that fire in his belly? That's what I want to know. If he's got that fire in his belly, then yeah, he could be a good player. Because he might want to prove something to Parker, because Parker's left him out a lot this season. They played with a false nine at times.
The way that they use him as well, even when he came in, is not to his strengths at all.
No, it's not. No, it's not. And, he scored a lot of goals in the Championship, Kevin, he has. But I just question, if he doesn't have that fire in his belly, if he doesn't want it enough as a player, then that's the bottom line for me. But if he's got the mentality, if he wants to improve and, Moyes gets the best out of him, then there's a player in there. But for me, I'd probably pursue... obviously, like Tammy Abraham, more experienced and proven in the Premier League, and then probably someone younger with more potential to grow, because I think that's what we need as well. So a real gem on our hands that we can develop, and a kind of a secret weapon as well that we can use in all competitions. So,
Holochek, yeah.
Holochek's, yeah.
He's a player, isn't he? He's a player that is the secret weapon in terms of that technical ability.
You know what, mate? He's probably on my top on my list, to be honest. Just in terms of his movement, his pace, everything. He's got the potential to be a top player, I hope.
He does. Look, Bayern Munich and Juventus are looking at him. I know we don't have our recruitment system, but that should tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, exactly. And I know Kevin's saying about Seema there. Seema again has got a lot of potential, but he's more of a winger, and we don't really need that. You know, I think he'll go Palace by the signs of it anyway. So. I'm not saying Seema, I'm not turning my nose up at Seema, but I'd rather go for more of a conventional forward, an out-and-out forward, because even Mickey's not even that. And with Mickey's tendency to pick up injuries throughout the season, we need at least 3 strikers, 2 more, as well as Mickey to, rely on, mate, throughout the season.
The thing is with the West Ham centre-forward issue, and we'll get to Anil's question in a second, is it's the job that Mikel Antonio does, generally speaking, and we are essentially trying to find the perfect forward, the guy that can hold the ball up, run in behind, stretch play, and finish. And that sort of striker doesn't really exist for the price tag that we want him for. But I think Tammy could be a work in progress. I think he's got gears to go up. I think he can be clinical. Again, he hasn't really... he does miss a lot of chances at Chelsea. Will he get the same chances at West Ham? I'm not sure. Can he hold up the ball in the same way that Mickey can? Again, I'm not sure. You could argue Ivan Toney. I'm proven in the Premier League, but very sort of polished in the Championship and a good goal record. I just want to temper the expectation of the striker that West Ham could get, because even Holochek, who is technically outstanding as he is, there is a bedding in time. There is a need for patience with players like this, because the pace of the league and the intensity. The only thing I would say is that the relationship that he could have with Soufal and Soucek, the fact that they are massive advocates for him, the recruitment teams at Bayern and Juventus looking at him, he arguably could be a really good option. But I don't think there's a perfect option. I just think that West Ham have to get a variety of players in that can play different roles. And Dan, I've said to you so many times, mate, we just need a group of players that offer different looks. Whether it can be, we can play a high line and keep the ball, whether it's a player that's a bit more direct on the left-hand side, any type of player like that is important.
Just versatility, mate, innit? Like you said, someone like a Matty Etherington on the left, proper direct, because, Fornals isn't really a winger, like you said before. He's not that quick. Someone who can get out players, especially for these competitions next season. We're going to need to have a lot of versatility in these offensive areas, which is why as well, mate, I think Benrahma will have a key part next season, I hope, because of what he offers, because it's different. But, we'll have to wait and see. It's just a massive summer. I know I'm sure there'll be a lot of nonsense rumours and, getting our hopes up and then missing out on players, etc. Because I've heard we're after Alex Kral again today. He's a Czech midfielder for...
Sorry, Pro?
I think so.
Right? Yeah. Probably, let's be honest, with the track record that we've got with some Czech players. Interesting question from Anil in terms of, I know we usually target players from teams who've been relegated. Do you think we should aim for better? I think that the quality of players that have been relegated is a case to try and look at them. And I've said before, it's about being intelligent. You look at players like Anguissa, Harrison Reed for Fulham, even Anderson, who's been touted with a move to Spurs. They did have some good players. You've got to remember as well with a team like Fulham. What'd you say?
We meant Felipe Anderson then.
We'll get onto him, don't worry. I've got my opinion on him. But I think there are players that put themselves in the shop window that are good enough to compete in this league, just in terms of the teams that they were in. And I think, you've got someone like a Sam Johnson and Mateus Pereira that have proven that they are Premier League level. And I don't think it's a step downwards. And I actually even think that it does fit in with Moyes' ethos of having a player that's hungry. If we don't get Lingard, by the way, Pereira should be our top target for that position because he's absolutely fantastic. And if you can get 10 goals and 6 assists in a West Brom side, imagine what you get in a West Ham side.
Exactly. Yeah, you can pick I can probably say about 10 players that I'd want from the relegated teams. I know it's a massive calculated risk because they've gone down, but Harrison Reed from Fulham and Gisa, Josh Madger maybe as third choice. Anthony Robinson at left back, Anderson, like you said.
Not Felipe. Can you imagine Felipe Anderson at left back? The nightmares we'd be having.
And you got Sheffield United, you got Sander Bird. Probably it from them, innit, really. But and then who have you got from? Who was the other one, mate? Who went down?
West Brom.
West Brom, yeah. You got obviously Pereira. You got
Sam Johnston,
Furlong, Gallagher,
good player.
Diangana. That was too soon, but a lot of players, mate, that we can definitely look to take advantage of. Yes, they've gone down, but you got to look in the grand scope of things. It's not just them; it's the whole team and it's the managers as well. So, definitely take advantage. But I'd also go for a mix of European and Premier League players. If we can nick a few from relegated teams and then nick a few from overseas, I think that'd be a good window.
Yeah, you can't rule off the European market. I know we're a bit cautious to do that with the likes of Felipe Anderson joining for 40 and Allaire joining for 45, but I think we've come a long way since that type of recruitment, and I think Moyes is responsible for that. Jamie asked, would you take Mitra? If you go back in the replay and you just go back 5 minutes, we'll explain what Dan, less so me. I'm not too bothered as a third choice. Declan Rice, do you think getting Europa League football keeps Declan with us for a season or possibly even two? For me, it does. I think it was absolutely crucial that West Ham secured 6th place for Declan Rice to stay at the club, and I think it's a really good footing for us to keep him for a little bit longer, Dan.
Definitely. Obviously, he's irreplaceable. Heartbeat of this team, isn't he? You build a team around Declan Rice because he's only, 22, got his future ahead of him, not even reached his peak. No, that definitely keeps him. But I've seen people saying, he walked off the pitch. I've seen that look before. There was nothing.
I haven't seen that. Oh, by the way, I haven't seen that, just to clarify. I don't know what it looked like, but...
He's just clapping the fans, wasn't he? But I think he'll want to stay as well for Mark Noble's last season as well. So I think you've got 2 seasons max left in him because you might want to oversee when Noble leaves next season. He might want to kind of replace him and become the full captain because he's only the vice captain, isn't he? So it depends how far, obviously he's a legend for this club already. It goes without saying, doesn't it? And it's inevitable he will leave at one point. But yeah, we've definitely tied him down for another year or so, I'd say. Legend.
Declan Rice, legend.
Oh, he's getting there, yeah.
I think, do you know what I love about him as well is the responsibility that he takes on himself. People forget he's only 22 and he very rarely puts in a bad performance for this club. Yes, he has his off days compared to some of his fantastic days. I thought today he had a decent game as well again, and obviously the goal to cap it off. If he can get 5-10 goals out of him, he becomes 150 mil probably if you're trying to sell him on. But in all seriousness, I think to have him at this club for as long as possible is absolutely crucial to development. You look at the relationship with not only Mark Noble, the players. Declan being only 22 and being a captain on the field with, and we're talking about senior pros around him, by the way, Dawson, Angelo, who arguably could be a captain, Fabianski, they all respect him. He's so important. He's as important as David Moyes and maybe even Lingard's involvement this season. And you see that when he went out, the dynamic of how we had to play, at times felt like a little bit like the mentality was lost. And he's responsible for that. And that goes under the radar. And again, having another season of Declan Rice, if he goes to have a brilliant Euros again, I know, you look at that player, the mentality he has, he will go up another level. And you get better players around him as well. Who knows where West Ham can go? We could go far in Europe. We could go far in the FA Cup. And as fans, that's all we want, Dan, don't we? We want a little bit of ambition.
Yeah, could win it all, mate, couldn't we?
Quadruple, yeah.
Yeah, but no, like Kevin Nolan said as well, the fact that saying that Grealish or Mount will be England's most important players. What about Declan Rice? So that just shows how important he is. And that comment there as well, what you just put up sums it up. We got to match his ambitions, which we do. If we this summer don't spend as much as we should do, don't get the players in that we should. What's he going to be thinking if we don't get fine Europa League and he has, if And you know what I mean? It's just
You're in that dodgy position with Declan where he's so talented and so many clubs will be looking at him. And you look at Manchester City with the Fernandinho outgoing at the end of next season. And if West Ham dip even in the January or at the end of next season, there is a possibility that he could move on. And to be fair, no West Ham fan would begrudge him that move to that club. But for us as a fan, we obviously want to see him in claret and blue. But we want to see him lift the players around him and West Ham go forward as a team. And I think that's what Moyes has done this season. You know, there aren't really any... There are some outstanding individuals in terms of goals and contributions, Lingard primarily. But the way that this 11 works, the way that it works together, the spirit that they've got, for me is the reason why we've got top 6.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's the spirit in the dressing room. You could see it in the celebrations, mate, all season as well. Even when we lost a game or slipped up or looked like we were going to slip up and miss out on Europa, it's that spirit behind the dressing room. You know, Kevin Nolan as well is a massive part to play in that. You seen after West Brom game the hugs he was giving all the players. You know, yeah. I think he's a bit of a hero behind the scenes for that as well. But they've just all gelled really nicely. They clearly get on all together, and that's massively important because under Pellegrini, it didn't really seem that way. They weren't gelling as much as they should have done. You know, there wasn't that spirit that I see now. So, you know, that's what Moyes has done. Moyes has came in, said, you know, if you don't run me, I won't play you. And most importantly, he's got the spirit ticking because without that in football, without having a team that's gelled together, you're not gonna win anything. You're not going to do anything.
It's so underrated, that as well. It's so underrated, like, you know, particularly me, you know, these days it's to do with tactics and the way that the squad play, but mentality is such an intangible that no one really gives it the credit it deserves. And to be honest, that's where Leicester went and won their Premier League. That's where clubs have been able to punch above their weight. And you've seen it again this season. Yes, you've got to have tactics. Yes, you've got to have coaching, but that the right spirit in the right type of games. And the Premier League is so tough to compete in. It's one of the toughest leagues in the world, definitely in Europe. And if you can't go week in, week out. And that's what I loved about it, Dan. You know, the West Brom game, the last 10 minutes for me, said a lot about this team. You know, it wasn't going our way. West Brom were all over us first half. And we still churned out a set piece and a transition, which is what we built our whole season on at the beginning. And that's what we fell back on. In terms of a Neil's comment, it'll be here for a long time, mate, before England win a World Cup. So I don't know whether he's going to be able to do it, but I do like your optimism.
He'll be retired by then, yeah.
But we've got to end this, Dan, with a tribute to David Moyes, because I know we spoke about it a little bit at the beginning, but he's thrown me back. He's thrown me back. I had my reservations about him tactically, decision making, subs. We spoke about it, transfers even.
Yep.
That guy deserves more credit than anyone at this point, because what he's done, and you said it as well, the coaching staff, you know, Nevin, Nolan, Pearce, Irvine, these are huge characters behind the scenes. What that group of people have done for a club that, let's be honest, have had the soul ripped out of it at times. You've had players sold off behind the manager's backs. What they've been able to galvanise is absolutely incredible, and it's been beautiful to see, to be honest.
Spot on, and more importantly as well, it's the fact that Stuart Pearce and Kevin Nolan have played for this club. They know what this club means. You know, obviously Nolan was here when Allardyce was. It wasn't the best period for West Ham. But he was here for, 4 or 5 years? He West Ham thick and thin, really, isn't he? You know, he knows what it means to the fans. He knows what he wants to see, the expectations we have. So for them too. But in general, you know, David Moyes, obviously his first spell wasn't the best. He did what he was asked to do, though. He kept us up. That's why they went back to him again, because he stabilised us at a time where at one point we looked favourites to go down. You know, obviously it wasn't. Was it the most ambitious appointment? No, but look what's happened now. You know, he's a proven manager. He's finished 6th with Everton before in his last season. He's got the best out of a group of players that are not world class. They're good players, but have the potential to grow even more. Instill the workmanlike mentality in the players, passion. You know, most passionate group of West Ham players I've ever seen, probably since the Marlon Harewood and Zamora days. In terms of that, and we fully deserve this finish, mate. It's, yes, we're the underdogs. It's against the odds. We've defied them, but you know, we deserve it, and he absolutely deserves Manager of the Year. And like I've said before a few times in the stream, get him tied down, back him with what he wants this summer, and the sky's the limit for this club, because you know, David Moyes, hats off to him, has transformed this football club for me.
That's what I mean. You can't underestimate that type of work, and people will look at it at the outside and they'll go, "Plucky West Ham, they got a one-off." I'm seeing things even on the pitch that shows this team is progressing. And even at the beginning where I wasn't too sure on him, where he was saying all the right things. I want to build a project. I want to build the right ethos. I want to make it for the fans again. And to do that in the circumstance and the environment that he's in is it's not like Leicester. You don't walk into Leicester with the best recruitment and the best training ground, and he can't do that. That's not the same thing. And the fact that he's done it with this group of players and players that, have been written off. Let's be honest. I mean, even Manu, to a degree, turned up against Burnley. Brilliant. Craig Dawson, no one would have said. Angelo,
even a striker.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Angelo, he had a dip in form and then he come back into the side in the Project Restart and again has been absolutely incredible. Creswell, finishing the season with the most assists as a Premier League defender. Yeah. Fabian, this is unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. And I think that's the thing, Dan, you said about the first time since the Zamora side that, you really identify. And I remember in the first lockdown, watching us against Spurs and the passion that we had on the pitch. Yeah. I see remnants of that. I see remnants of that in this side. And you see in the picture in the background that you're all watching now. That's all we want. That is all we want. Success is... Yeah. It's all I've ever wanted from West Ham. We support West Ham. We're not the most successful clubs. We're not the biggest club. But I tell you what, we're passionate. And all we want is a group of players and a manager and a team that go out there week in, week out and put themselves on the line. And that's what we've got. And me and you will be sitting in that stadium. We'll be having a few beers before every single match next year thinking, I'm buzzing for today. Yeah. So
that's what you look forward to. Yeah, spot on, mate. You look forward to each weekend, and under Pellegrini, it was like a chore, wasn't it? You didn't really look forward to it most weekends.
God, it was awful. I mean, I was there for I wasn't able to go to West Ham for a while, and I remember coming back for Newcastle when Roberto was in goal and Leicester, and it was awful. It was. I remember watching us in the Project Restart and thinking and being happy that we made a tackle at one point because there was a lack of fight, and that's all we want. And this is a bonus. Do you know what I mean? This is great. We win games, we get goals. Lingard with some of the goals that he scored, Maradona-esque at times.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, mate. All I want is a team that puts. And that's why we love Mark Noble. He's the guy that is Mr. West Ham that puts himself on the line, and I think the players have bought into that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. All we ask for, mate, is effort, 100% passion, commitment, desire. And that's what we got this season. That's what we had. Well, we had it in abundance when Bilic's last season, because Bilic knew what it meant to be a West Ham player and to manage West Ham and what the football club was about. Under Pellegrini, it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't really all that. And to be fair, during Moyes' first spell, I didn't see it enough. I didn't see that passion that gets you over the line, no matter how you've played. But this season, the players he's got, the Czech boys as well, the way they influence the group, the work, they've put in and, setting examples for, you've got to work hard to earn your place and just proper down-to-earth people is what, what's made us tick and what's made us so successful this season,
Yeah, I mean, we've come on leaps and bounds, and people shouldn't forget that we finished, I think, was it 17th last year, maybe 16th? I'm not sure whether we were able to get that high, but we were definitely in the doldrums, and what we've done, I mean, we deserve to be sixth. I will say that as well. There's no fluke there. It's hard work. We've beaten all of the rest of the 14 teams at times convincingly, doing jobs on them. We deserve 100% to be where we're at, and we've done it in worse circumstances than some of the teams above us. And some of the teams below us, including Tottenham Hotspur and Arsenal, who have the resources.
Just about to say that.
You want to talk about? Should we talk about Tottenham finishing in the Europa Conference? I mean, I know they got the result.
Not to, in it,
It won't be rude not to. It's like, you want a custard cream, you can have one, mate. It's a bit like that. It's, it is nice. It is nice. They bottled the 3-0 against us lot. We come back, right? We beat them 2-1, and then they can't even get above piddly little old West Ham, as they call us, even though it's our cup final and not theirs. But listen, they're very quiet on social media. So if we can all have a minute silence for all the Tottenham fans that have all of a sudden forgot they actually follow football.
Enjoy playing Aberdeen in the conference. That's all I say. Enjoy
St Johnstone, isn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely...
Oh, no, sorry. St Johnstone are in the Europa League, so we might see them. You can go and play Aberdeen. Enjoy that.
That'll be actually. Yeah, St Johnstone. But, no, listen, Spurs have world-class players. There's no doubt about that. Obviously got Son Kane, but it's just funny to, hear them piping up on social media and we finished above them. And the fact that comeback from 3-0 down is, one of the reasons why they're 7th and we're 6th.
That's what I love. That's what we're about, man. That's what we're about, But before we go, Dan, final thoughts on this season, mate. You've been a big part of it. You were in it at the beginning, then he was working, then he's come back, and we finished it nicely.
Yeah, man.
Nearly 6K for the West Ham way. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate, and I enjoy talking to you as off air as I do on it.
No, you deserve it, mate. Been a pleasure getting to know you, getting to know the others briefly as well. And this channel has been on the rise massively. Subscribe if you haven't as well, by the way, because he's so close to 6K. That'll just tip it off nicely, wouldn't it? Fitting way to end the season. But no, this season's been probably the best season I've had as a West Ham fan. Just eclipses the Bilic final season at the Bowling, because it was, obviously the passion, the defying the odds as well. Because at the start of the season, I thought, listen, we'll probably just scrape it and just stay up. But the way them players have applied themselves from I'll say game 2, because the first game against Newcastle wasn't good enough, and I thought
we'll just pretend that never happened because it was awful.
Yeah, but every game since, even when we've lost, mate, against Newcastle, etc., the desire we've shown and the commitment, and these players are proper West Ham players. Kufal, Sinchek, the proper West Ham through and through. You know what I mean? The proper West Ham players. So, yeah, been a fantastic season. Obviously, I'm gutted now that it's ended because I won't know what to do with my weekends. But it's been an absolute pleasure. To interact with the followers, the comments, as well is a joy. And I'm looking forward to the Euros, mate. Doing some videos on there. And, and next season as well.
Yeah, me and Dan have got some exciting news for all of you that are watching. We've got a Euro 2020 prediction league, which I'm buzzing to do, mate, because the app looks brilliant. We can interact with you all. You can have a chat on there. We can drop content on there. You'll get a notification as well on your phone. I think me and Dan are going to try and do who would be in our 26-man squad next week. So we are going to have a really quick turnaround, and we'll be churning that out rapidly. Me and Dan love our football. We can't go without it. I'm a bit like you, Dan. What am I going to do in my weekends? But listen, we've got the Euros, we've got the Copa America in around 3 weeks' time, but we are going to end it there. Thank you so much. Loads of viewers tonight. Drop a like on the stream. Do me a favor. This is the last one of the season. It's magnificent. Come on. And I want to try and get to the 6K. And the more people like it now, I'm sure some people try and dislike it now, but the more people like it now, the more people will go and see it on the replay, the more it will get me to 6K. And to get 3,000 subscribers in one season is absolutely unbelievable. And I know I put my fair share of effort into it, but I couldn't do without the likes of Dan and Dennis and Charles and Bill and all these people and Angus that come on and give their opinion. And next season, trust me, it will go up another level. I'll look into the equipment. We'll get at the ground. We'll do post-match, pre-match, everything. Vlogs, it will go to the next level. Trust me. And with this app and the prediction league that we'll hopefully try and roll out for next season, we'll also go to that other level. So it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Thanks, everyone, for talking about the comments. I think Anthony said as well, he was around for 86, so enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. You've had a good experience. I haven't. I've seen us get to an FA Cup final, lose, and then struggle with relegation. But on a serious note, everyone who watches us on the replay, thanks so much for interacting with me, even when you've dug me out over my choice selection of teams. I have enjoyed it. It does make me laugh when I see it. Take care, everybody. West Ham are in the Europa League, 6th place in the Premier League. Come on, you Irons. And we'll see you all very shortly.
That's all.